Hi, and welcome back to Module 2, where I'm going to go through the key components of a Facebook ad. So, the three main components of a successful Facebook ad are the copy, which is also the text, so copy text, images, and your audience/targeting. So, copy. The main thing to focus on with your copy is the results that you create for people. So rather than just saying that you are going to teach someone maths, tell them that you're going to create a blueprint for their maths exam success. So really focusing on the benefits people are going to get from it rather than just exactly what you do. So try to draw people in and be creative with your copy. It's also a really good idea to exclude people by asking questions. So, for example, if you said need help with maths at the start of your copy, this is just going to make people who don't need help with maths just keep on scrolling. And it's going to make the people who do need help with maths stop and read the rest of your ad and hopefully click through and take the action that you want them to take. So in a way, it feels like you don't want to exclude people, but it's actually really great because you don't want to pay for people to view or click your ad that aren't actually interested in what you have to offer. So it's all very well getting loads of clicks, but if people aren't signing up for your lead magnet or they're not buying whatever you're selling, then those clicks are unnecessary. So with your copy is a really good way to try and exclude people. So you want to also give people a really clear call to action. So tell them exactly what you want them to do. So for example, say click below to get your free maths study plan, or even something as simple as click below to find out more. Just tell them what you want to do. You want them to click, so tell them to do that. And there are also three parts to the copy text for each ad. So that's kind of the main text, there's a headline and a newsfeed description. So these are these components as you can see them. So this top part here you can see is the text. So this is kind of your main text that's going to show. Now if it's longer than this, it's going to cut it off and put kind of a dot 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 and then like a see more link. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's okay to do that, but you can. That's one of the things that you can test with your ads. Whether your audience likes really short, punchy text, or whether they like to read a whole lot of text before they're going to click. Those are the kind of things that you can test. So below the image is the headline. So again, it can go onto two lines, but you probably ideally want it to just fit on this one line. And below that is the newsfeed description. So this is just another bit of copy text where you get to reinforce what you're giving away for free, what you want your clients to do, whatever the aim of your ad is. Now this newsfeed description is only going to show on ads that are on desktop. So if you've chosen mobile and not desktop at all for where your ads are going to show, so only to people viewing on their mobile phones versus showing it to people who are viewing it on their laptop or their PC computer. If you've only chosen mobile, then this newsfeed description isn't going to show up. So just be aware of that if you're looking for how you can edit this part. It'll disappear if you've chosen to exclude desktop. We'll go through that in more detail in the next couple of modules. So I have a really great formula for creating ad copy. So it's mainly for kind of a lead generation ad where you're giving away something for free in order to get people to sign up for your email list. So have a read there, and one of the tasks at the end of the module is going to be to plug your own ad copy into it. So you can see here where the brackets are, that's where you add your own stuff in. And you can see I've given an example below that's kind of kind of an online tutoring example. So, are you ready to master maths and kill it at exam time? Inside this free checklist, I'll show you step by step how you can create an exam plan that really works so that you can create a foundation for exam success and get the results you've been dreaming of. So that's quite short and catchy. You might want to kind of create another version of the copy that's a little bit longer, maybe gives a little bit more detail. You could maybe add in some bullet points. Bullet points tend to work really well if you have quite a lot of information you want to include in the copy. But that's just a really good basis for starting to create your copy from. So the next component of a successful ad is the images. So this is probably what most people think about the most. It's it's the most eye-catching part. So if people were scrolling through their Facebook feeds, what's going to stand out to them? So Facebook actually has some really strict guidelines with their advertising, and some of the strictest are to do with the images that you can use. Obviously, you can't use anything, you know, R18 or anything like that, but you also shouldn't have more text on the image than takes up 20% of the image. There is as a kind of a grid tool you can use to check this. Facebook used to not show your ad at all. That they wouldn't approve the ad to show if you had more than 20% of text previously, but now they will show it. But what they do is they don't show it to as many people, and it costs you a lot more to show it to that smaller number of people. They usually alert you, they'll kind of send you a notification that says your ad isn't doing as well as it could be for this reason. So in general, you're going to know if you've broken one of the rules, but it's always just good to keep the text that's sitting on top of the image, to a minimum. So also no fake play buttons. So if it's not a video, if it's a static image, then you can't put a little play button on it to try and entice people to click. So those are the two main ones in terms of the guidelines, but you can actually look up the guidelines for these if you were interested in finding out a little bit more. So some other tips for images. Smiling women that are looking at the camera tend to work best overall. There's been quite a few studies, but obviously this is quite dependent on who you're targeting. If you're targeting teenage boys, maybe that's not going to be the right thing. Again, you're just going to have to test these things. Images of yourself also tend to work the best over using any other kind of stock image or, a photo of a laptop or something. Usually if it's an image of you, that's the best way to go. And that's whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. If you're looking at the camera smiling, then it's going to convert better than anything else usually. So some more tips if you're targeting new people. So if you've just chosen general interests, then don't worry about your ad matching your branding or having your logo on it or anything like that, because they don't know who you are yet. They don't know what your logo is. They're not going to recognize it. So what you want them to do is take the action. It doesn't really matter what it looks like as long as they take the action that you want them to take. So it's always good to create a really professional looking design, and there are a couple of tools you can use like PicMonkey and Canva are free online tools. You can obviously also use InDesign. If you're really clever with it, you could use something like PowerPoint. So there are a number of ways that you can do this and for free as well. The other option is just to hire a designer. There are a lot of people who specialize in Facebook ad image creation, and you can normally get 2 or 3 images to test for not too much money. Could be a good starting point for you if you're worried about your design skills. With this course, you also have access to Brand My Business with Canva. So that's where I walk through how to use Canva to create things for your brand and your business. So if you're interested in creating your own images, then that's a really good starting point. So try and use 1 or 2 colors only in your ad images. You don't want to overwhelm your your potential clients, you want it to stand out and for them to take notice of it, but you don't want to go overboard with it. If you have a background in a design and you know what you're doing with the different colors, then obviously feel free to go for it. It's not a strict rule, but if you're just starting out with design, it's a good rule to stick to. And also to use a maximum of 2 fonts, so one kind of plain, easy to read one, and another one that's could be kind of a cursive, or it could be a lot bigger and bolder, kind of an accent font. Again, if you have a background in design and you know what you're doing, then feel free to play around a little bit more with these. They're not hard and fast rules at all. So, some more image creation tips for you. Use a strong headline that matches your copy, that fits in with it, but don't use the same headline as you've used in the previous section in the copy, which is the headline that's going to sit below your image. You want to kind of use your space well. It can maybe say the same thing. A lot of people use a headline like "click here for this" to sit on top of the image and make it almost look like a button. Again, you can't make it look like a fake play button, but if you kind of just make a big bold box or a bold circle, it kind of, people tend to look at it and want to click on it. So also use stock photo websites to get photos. If you're not going to use a photo of yourself, then get professional looking ones. So Pexels.com, Pixabay, and Unsplash all have free photos that you can download. So they're kind of my starting point if I'm looking for photos. If you're using Canva to design, you can also get free photos in there, and they also have paid photos that are really good, and they're $1 per photo. So it's not going to break the bank if there's a photo you really, really want to use, and you have to pay for it. If it's only $1, you're not doing too badly. So these are just some image examples that have kind of popped up on my feeds and I've seen in various places. So they're not necessarily ads that I've created myself, but I just think they stand out and they're quite cool looking. There is ways to obviously blend in your branding. This top left one has that kind of gold shimmer and it has the blue, which I know fits in with this person's branding. But again, it doesn't really matter. You don't have the logo on there. If I'm completely new to this person's branding and business, I don't really know whether it matches or not, but it doesn't matter because it looks cool when I want to click on it. Really clear call to actions, or the top right one has an arrow, so it's really clear where they want you to look. So yeah, just nice bright colours, standing out. That's pretty much the key to it. It's just another few that I've seen. I mean, the one on the top right is kind of going against the only use 2 colours rule that I stipulated. But like I said, if you know what you're doing with design, it can look really cool. And I think this ad looks great. There's not a huge image or anything on it, but it's quite interesting looking and it's made me want to read it. So yeah, those are my kind of good image examples, and you can come back to these when you're creating your own ads and see how you can use some of the different techniques that are in there. So the next component of a successful ad, and this is what I think is the most important thing, the copy and the images, obviously they have to stand out and make people want to read them and click them, but your audiences and the targeting they're the most important part of your Facebook ads. If your Facebook ads aren't working, this is where you need to look to first. So there are so many different options for this that it can get a little bit overwhelming. So for now, I'm just going to go through the basics and we'll get a little deeper later when we go through the custom audiences. But for now, I just want some kind of general rules for you for setting up your audiences. So the main thing here is to be really specific. So think about what sets your ideal clients apart from other general people that are going to be on Facebook. So decide on some things like age, gender, location, income level, whether they have children or not. And one of the most important things, those are all demographics, but then one of the most important things are your interest targeting. So one of the best ways to do the interest targeting is to think about other Facebook pages that your ideal clients might like. So other kind of big names in your field that your clients might already like the Facebook pages of. So they could be your competition, they could be, like I said, really big names in your field, or they might actually be people or businesses that do different things to you but serve the same kind of people. So, for instance, um, if you're looking at targeting people who are about to, take a certain level of maths, they might be really interested in, what would they be interested in? They could be really interested in a particular singer, or there could be like they might be really interested in MacBook Pros because they're kind of the cool thing to have at school these days. That kind of thing. Try and think out of the box a little bit. But again, try and be really specific. So don't try and have them too broad that anyone could like them. You want to try and make it so that it's really specific to the people that you need to target. Because again, you're paying for people to see these ads, and if you're targeting people that aren't your ideal clients, then you're just paying for people who are never going to become your clients to see your ads, and that feels like a waste of money. So, like I kind of just said, think about who you can exclude from your targeting and try and only target those who are your ideal client and the most likely to become your customers, not just someone who could or might become a customer. So one of the examples I kind of use for that is my target audience, for instance, might be 30 to 45-year-olds. Now, it's true that a 25-year-old might buy my course. There's nothing stopping them, depending on my course, but there's nothing stopping them buying that course. But are they the most likely? You need to kind of narrow it, because if you have a really broad age range and you have really broad interests, then you're just going to be showing it to a whole bunch of people that really couldn't care less about your product or service or whatever you're advertising to them. So exclude as many people as you can. So you can also create custom audiences from your own fan bases. So I'm going to go into this in more detail later on in the training in a different module. But this is really useful if you're wanting to do sales Facebook ads. So we've come to the end of the module, and it's time to give you another task. So using the formula that I gave you previously in this module, draft some Facebook ad copy that you could use in an ad, but make sure that it makes sense for the strategy you outlined in module 1. So we want to bring everything together now. So you've created your strategy in module 1, and it might be that you want people to sign up for a particular lead magnet. That's great. So let's make the copy that matches that lead magnet. So if you can do that, and then jump into Canva if you've gone through the Brand Your Business course already, or if you haven't already, go through and watch those videos and create an image that for the same ad. So make sure it's all coming together for you. So yeah, jump in and do that, and when you've done that, join me in the next module. See you there.